This is a two-part lab. The first lab is a JELLO lab. So we're going to look at how we actually make JELLO. First thing we do is take 2 cups of water and we boil it. And then we take the actual JELLO, the gelatin. We're going to pour this into the boiling water. And we're going to stir this until it is fully dissolved. Once this is fully dissolved, we'll add the cold water and stir. Now we're going to prepare the fruit. We've got pineapple 1, pineapple 2, pineapple 3, strawberries, and bananas. Each piece of fruit is placed into the cups. And the JELLO is added to the cups and placed into the refrigerator to sit overnight. After the fruit cups with the JELLO have sat in the refrigerator for about 24 hours, let's look at the results. Open up the JELLO and Potato Lab data sheet. Using observations from the second part of this video, write down your observations and inferences. Pause the video when needed so that you have time to write down your observations and your inferences. On your data sheet, make sure that you write down observations based on each of the cups: the banana, the strawberry, pineapple number 3, pineapple number 2, and pineapple number 1. Remember, you can pause this at any time if you need more time to write. Make sure that you have fully filled out your data sheet. If you need more time, you can rewind or pause this video and then restart it. So why did pineapple cup number 2 and 3 react differently than pineapple cup number 1? Pineapple cup number 2 had frozen pineapple in it. Pineapple cup number 3 had fresh pineapple in it. Both of these, if you look back at your observations, had very liquidy jello. This is because both of these contain bromelain, which is an enzyme that very specifically breaks down the gelatin in the jello. The gelatin in the jello is what makes jello harden, but because both of these had the enzyme to break down the gelatin, the jello was not allowed to harden. In pineapple cup number 1, the pineapple had been canned. Due to this canning process, the bromelain enzyme had been denatured or broken down. Enzymes are very, very sensitive to heat change, cooling changes, pH changes. So in this canning process, the fruit is actually heated up, preservatives are added, that's at pH change, it's cooled back down, and it's canned. So all of those enzymes had been denatured, which is why the pineapple in cup number 1 allowed jello to continue to harden. A quick review on how enzymes work. Your enzyme and your substrates are going to connect and a new product is going to be created. So just like we saw in this lab, that bromelain, which is the pineapple enzyme, is going to then break down that gelatin. The gelatin is then not going to make that jello hard. So that's why we have that liquidy jello. So what about the last 2 cups? Well, there was fresh strawberry in one cup and fresh banana in the other one. So if they were fresh, why did they not break down the jello? Well, remember, enzymes are very, very site-specific, and strawberries and bananas do not have the enzyme that break down the gelatin in jello. So these contain different enzymes. They still have enzymes. They just don't have the enzymes that can break down the gelatin in jello. This allowed the jello to harden. If you have not completed the data portion of the JELLO lab, please pause the video and go complete the data collection document over the JELLO lab. Part 2, the potato lab. The first thing we're going to do is cut the potato, place one piece of potato on a plate, and we're going to put it in the microwave for 30 seconds. On the same data sheet as your JELLO lab, you're going to move to the potato lab section. Using your observations in this next part, write down your observations and inferences on this data sheet. As always, you can pause the video if you need more time to write down your observations and inferences. Let's first talk about hydrogen peroxide because we're going to add this to the potatoes. Hydrogen peroxide is H2O2 and it breaks down into H2O, which is water, and O2, which is oxygen gas. So if you've ever put hydrogen peroxide on a cut, you probably noticed that it was bubbling. That was the oxygen gas that was bubbling up, and it was helping to clean out your wound. Hydrogen peroxide is also very sensitive to light. Light will also break down hydrogen peroxide into water and oxygen. This is why we store it in dark bottles. So when hydrogen peroxide comes in contact with the correct enzyme, it will very quickly break down. Go back to your data sheet and write down your observations after watching what happens to the potatoes. sure that you have fully completed the JELLO and Potato Lab data sheet. If you need to review any of this video, stop and rewind so that way you can get the data that you need and the observations that you need to complete this. Use the data collected from both of the labs to write your concluding paragraph. Please try this at home, but make sure you get your parents' permission or your guardian's permission, and make sure that they are also present and you are supervised while doing this. Make sure you also follow all the lab safety rules and expectations.